Frank is sitting at the kitchen table. Coffee is cold, back hurts. He just opened his bank account on his phone. He put the phone face down. Frank has a problem. He wants to retire. He does not want to eat cat food. These two goals are in conflict. Frank is 54. He has a mortgage. He has a gym membership he doesn't use. He has 3 streaming services he pays for and watches 1. Frank also has a drawer full of batteries that may or may not be dead. He doesn't know. He's afraid to check. Frank is not prepared, but he can be. He just needs to buy 5 things. Not stocks, not crypto, actual, real, boring things. The kind of things that don't trend on social media. The kind of things that save you $9,000 a year while everyone else argues about Bitcoin. 5 purchases. Right now. Before retirement turns Frank into a financial disaster in New Balance shoes. Here they are. Point 1. A reliable used vehicle paid off. Frank drives a 2019 sedan. It's fine. The paint is fine. The seats are fine. Everything is fine. He is fine. Frank's neighbor Dave just bought a brand new SUV. Leather seats, panoramic sunroof. Dave is very excited. Dave also now pays $767 a month. Every month. For years. The average new car payment hit a record $767 a month in the fourth quarter of 2025. That's according to Experian. The current average monthly payment for a used car is $537. Frank does math. He doesn't enjoy it, but he does it. $767 a month times 12 months, that's over $9,200 a year. Gone. Just gone from a fixed retirement income. Every year, Dave is still making payments. That's a vacation. That's a year of groceries. That's a reasonable boat. Not a good boat, but a boat. Average Gen Xer, but I need the new safety features and the heated seats, my lower back. Frank, buy a heating pad. It's $19. Here is what Frank does instead. He buys a low-mileage used Toyota or a Honda or a Subaru, something boring, something that starts when it's cold, something with good bones and no monthly payment. He buys it now, pays it off now, owns it outright before he retires. Despite higher interest rates on used car loans, used car buyers pay about $200 less each month compared to new car buyers with similar credit scores because they borrowed less. But Frank doesn't even want the used car payment. Frank wants 0 payment. Frank wants to own the car like he owns his socks, completely. No strings, no lender, no monthly envelope of sadness. Average Gen Xer, but what if the used car breaks down? Frank, what if you're 68 and still paying $767 a month? What breaks down then? Your will to live? One smart purchase now eliminates $9,000 a year in retirement bleeding. Frank's neighbor Dave will figure that out eventually, probably around the same time the panoramic sunroof starts leaking. There's a link in the description. It's a retirement prep workbook Frank put together. It costs less than 1 month of Dave's sunroof. It has the bulk buying guides, the dental countdown, the insurance cheat sheet, all of it. Frank is not a financial advisor. Frank is a guy with a checklist who doesn't want to be broke at 70. That's the whole sales pitch. Link's down there. Point 2. Long-term care insurance. Frank doesn't like thinking about getting old. He doesn't like thinking about needing help getting out of a chair. He doesn't like thinking about someone else cutting his food. But Frank is practical. Frank thinks about it anyway. Long-term care is expensive. We're talking nursing homes, assisted living, in-home aides, the kind of care that costs more per month than a mortgage. And here's the thing Frank learned that ruined his Thursday. Medicare doesn't fully pay for it. Average Gen Xer, wait, I thought Medicare covers everything when I'm old. Frank, Medicare covers some things, not someone spoon feeds you pudding for 3 years things. Long-term care insurance is like an umbrella. Nobody wants to buy an umbrella. It's boring. It takes up space. But when the storm hits and you're standing in the rain at age 78 with a hip replacement, you'll wish you had the umbrella. The trick is buying it now, in your 50s, while you're still relatively young, while your body still cooperates with the application process. The longer you wait, the more expensive it gets, and the harder it becomes to qualify at all. Wait until your 60s or 70s and the premiums skyrocket. Or worse, they just say no. Average Gen Xer, I'll just deal with it later. Frank, that's what you said about the gutters. Now you have a waterfall in the living room. Buying LTC insurance in your 50s locks in better rates. It covers the expenses that Medicare shrugs. It protects the retirement savings Frank has been slowly building like a squirrel hiding acorns in a very tired tree. He buys it now. He doesn't love it, but he doesn't love flossing either, and he still does that. Most days. You just heard those numbers. You did the face. Everybody does the face. Frank did the face too. Then Frank made a checklist so he'd actually do something about it instead of just making the face. It's a PDF in the description called the Frank file. It walks you through everything. The insurance gaps, the dental countdown, the spending audit, all of it. You can keep making the face, or you can do the math. Point 3. Home energy upgrades. Frank is retired now in this hypothetical. He's home all day, every day. He watches the thermostat like a hawk. He watches the electric meter spin, and he watches the gas bill arrive like a monthly jump scare. Frank is home all day. That's 12 more hours of lights, speeding, cooling, and the TV playing reruns of a show he's already seen 6 times. Energy costs on a fixed income hit differently than they do on a paycheck. When Frank was working, the house was empty 8 hours a day. The lights were off. The AC was resting. The house was living its best, cheapest life. Now Frank is in every room, opening the fridge, closing the fridge, opening the fridge again because he forgot what he wanted. Every open is money. Every light left on is money. The house is now a 24/7 operation, and the electric company is thrilled. Average Gen Xer, I'll just wear a sweater. Frank, great, you'll be the most fashionable person in the dark. Frank doesn't need a full remodel. He's not knocking down walls. He's not installing a waterfall in the bathroom. He's making targeted upgrades right now while he still has a paycheck. Solar panels, better insulation, a smart thermostat, energy-efficient windows, maybe a new appliance that doesn't sound like it's summoning a demon every time it cycles on. These things cost money up front, but they save thousands over the years in energy bills, and Frank has years. That's the whole point of retirement. He's going to be home. Might as well make the home cheap to run. Average Gen Xer, solar panels, I'm not trying to save the planet, I'm trying to save my checking account. Frank, good news, they do both. Do this now while you're earning, while you can finance it or write it off. Because once you're on a fixed income and the July electric bill lands and it says $280, the only upgrade you'll be able to afford is crying. Frank made a file. It does the math so you don't have to. Link in the description. Moving on. Point 4. A chest freezer. Frank is standing in his garage. There is a white rectangular box. It hums quietly. It is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It does not have Bluetooth. It is a chest freezer, and it is about to save Frank over $1,000 a year. A chest freezer costs between $200 and $400. That's it. One-time purchase. Plug it in. Done. It costs maybe $30 to $50 a year to run. It sits in the corner like a loyal, frozen rectangle and asks for nothing. Average Gen Xer. A freezer? That's your big retirement tip? A freezer? Yes. Here is why. Frank used to buy steak at the grocery store like a regular person. $6 here, $12 there. He never thought about it because he had a paycheck and steaks are delicious and life is short. Then Frank retired and realized life is actually pretty long when you're counting every dollar. With a chest freezer, Frank buys subprimal cuts in bulk, whole strips, whole rib sections. He portions them at home, he wraps them, he labels them with a Sharpie like a man who has his life together. Many families save up to 50% or more compared to traditional retail prices by buying meat this way. Buying in bulk from direct suppliers can save $300 to $600 or more per year compared to grocery store prices. And that's just beef. Add in chicken, pork, and frozen vegetables bought on sale, and Frank is looking at real money. Purchasing large quantities of premium beef or chicken reduces the per-pound price compared to smaller retail-sized packages. This pricing advantage stems from lower packaging, handling, and transportation costs spread over a larger volume. For families and households, these savings can translate into hundreds of dollars annually. Average Gen Xer. I don't have room for a freezer. Frank, you have room for a treadmill you use as a coat rack. You have room for a freezer. Frank also buys bread in bulk, frozen vegetables, butter when it's on sale. He's not a doomsday prepper. He's a retiree with a system. The freezer is the system. The system works. On a fixed retirement income, grocery math matters every month. The chest freezer turns Frank from a guy who buys what's available into a guy who buys what's cheap, stores it, and eats like a king for less. A cold, efficient, rectangular king. Average Gen Xer. What if the power goes out? Frank, a full chest freezer stays frozen for up to 48 hours if you don't open it. Stop opening it. It's not a refrigerator, it's a vault. $200, saves $1,000 a year. Pays for itself before the first bag of chicken thighs is even thawed. Point 5. Preventive dental work. Frank smiles. He doesn't do it often, but when he does, he'd like his teeth to be there. This is the one nobody thinks about. Everybody talks about 401ks and Roth IRAs. Nobody talks about teeth. But teeth are expensive. Teeth are a financial landmine sitting inside your face, quietly waiting for retirement to blow up. Here's the problem. Frank has dental insurance through his employer right now. It covers cleanings, fillings, crowns, extractions. It's not perfect, but it's something. The moment Frank retires and goes on Medicare, that coverage largely vanishes. In most cases, Medicare doesn't cover dental services like routine cleanings, fillings, tooth extractions, or items like dentures and implants. That's from Medicare's own website. You pay all costs for non-covered services, including most dental services. Average Gen Xer. What? Medicare doesn't cover teeth? Frank, Medicare covers your heart, your knees, your hips, your teeth. You're on your own. Good luck. Now look at what that actually costs. Without dental insurance, the average cost of a dental crown in 2026 ranges from $950 to $3,000 per tooth. The wide range reflects differences in crown material, your location, and your dentist fees. Most patients pay between $1,200 and $1,800 for a standard porcelain or zirconia crown. One crown, one single tooth hat, up to $3,000 out of Frank's pocket from his fixed income. That's not dental care, that's a car payment on his mouth. And it gets worse. Even with dental coverage via Medicare Advantage, a patient could still be on the hook for up to $3,300. The average Medicare beneficiary spent an average of $922 on out-of-pocket dental costs, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. And that's the average. Frank doesn't want to know the maximum. 37 million people, nearly 2 out of 3 Medicare beneficiaries, have no dental coverage. Average Gen Xer, 37 million? That's not a gap in coverage, that's a canyon. Frank, correct, and your teeth are at the bottom of it. The percentage of people with dental coverage drops dramatically at age 65 after they retire and lose dental insurance from their employers. Among people ages 65 to 80, who generally are covered by Medicare, 47% were without dental coverage. So what does Frank do? He goes to the dentist now while he still has employer coverage. He gets the full workup, x-rays, deep cleaning, that crown he's been putting off, that filling that's been fine for 3 years. Fine is not a dental diagnosis. Since dental care can be costly without coverage, it's wise to tackle dental issues while you still have employer-sponsored dental insurance. Visit your dentist for a full checkup, including x-rays to identify issues like cavities, gum disease, or tooth damage. Address these problems before losing private insurance. If you need significant work like crowns, partials, root canals, or implants, get it done while covered by your employer's plan. Average Gen Xer, I hate the dentist. Frank, you know what's worse than the dentist? A $3,000 invoice from the dentist when you don't have insurance. Frank gets it all done now on his employer's dime. Every filling, every crown, every suspicious spot the hygienist keeps watching. Stop watching it. Fix it. Fix it now while someone else is helping pay for it. Because once Frank retires, every tooth in his head becomes a potential 4-figure expense. And he'd rather spend that money on literally anything else, like a heating pad for his car, or a chest freezer, or just keeping his house warm. Frank sits back down at the kitchen table. Coffee is still cold, back still hurts, But he has a paid-off car in the driveway, an LTC policy in the filing cabinet, a house that doesn't hemorrhage electricity, a freezer full of meat in the garage, and a mouthful of teeth that are fully maintained and paid for. Frank didn't do anything flashy. He didn't hack the system. He didn't find a loophole. He bought boring things at the right time and saved himself tens of thousands of dollars. 5 purchases, none of them exciting, all of them boring, all of them worth more than that new SUV with the panoramic sunroof. Frank's one piece of advice: retire boring. Boring keeps the lights on. The coffee is still cold. Frank drinks it anyway. Frank made a checklist. It's a PDF. It's called the retirement file. It has every calculator, every checklist, and every uncomfortable question Frank had to answer before he felt okay about retirement. He printed it out. He sat at the kitchen table. He did the math. The math was not fun, but now Frank sleeps. You can grab it in the description. It's less than a pizza, and it lasts longer than a pizza, although Frank does love pizza. Thanks for watching. Frank will see you in the next video.